What's up, man?
What's up, man?
How are you?
How's it going?
Good to see you, man. Good.
To see you too.
How's it going?
Things going good.
Welcome to Mentor Monday.
Well, thanks for having me on your show.
Of course. Have you ever seen the show?
I watched one. I actually knew one person was on one, Gabe.
Dope.
Yeah, seen his, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, the concept is really like, you ask me anything, I always feel the need to preface this, like I'm not a kung fu master that knows everything, but I just think that maybe, like there's some stuff that maybe I've been through that's similar, or friends of mine or that I know about that maybe I could help you on, or we just kind of have a conversation about it, you know?
Yeah.
But the goal for me really is like, I've been doing my podcast and all these different like forms of content, but I really wanted to like start to put out some content talking to young people that are currently working on shit.
Yeah.
Because I think that probably a lot of your questions will be similar to a lot of other people's questions,
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
by having this conversation, we can kind of answer other people's questions as well. So literally anything that comes up, any questions you have, fire away. I usually try to start by having people give me like just a quick rundown of who you are, what you're working on, where you're from, just that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, my name's Seth Francois. I'm mostly known for doing like YouTube content creation, social media, stuff like that. I kind of got like a little following from like some of my friends who like kind of got themselves out there a bit, and I was able to attach myself onto that a little bit.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was just kind of thinking more in like the back end of things too, of like what's like a way to not just like have a career for a couple of years, but a way to like actually establish myself like long term with like doing something that's like more business orientated. So I decided to I was doing like casting for a while, like getting different talent on projects and stuff, and then I was doing it very just like freelance by myself style, and then I just decided to take it to the next level and actually like form an actual company, get a staff, get a location, stuff like that. And we also expand in doing like management and also like content creation as well.
That's great.
So, you know, it could be a variety of things that like we work with like influencers on, or we could like put influencers in based off of like what's like needed in the relationship. So.
And are you still creating content and still working with those guys, or? Yeah,
I'm still like keeping that up. Just like, you know, like I feel like wherever you start is like kind of where you should keep like a foot in, you know? So like I'm still like keeping my foot in there and like still making content, being in video. So I'm like still kind of have like the reason of why I'm known is still like, you know, like predominant in that sort of way. But I'm definitely trying to do like a, you know, and I guess it's kind of like a question I have for you. It's just kind of like, you know, like I feel like, and I mean, this is yourself. You know, like you kind of had like a brand shift to like an extent, you know, like you kind of changed the way like other people were like perceiving you from like being in, you know, the past stuff that you did with like TV, and then also like doing all the stuff that you do now, like corporately with like Young and Reckless. That's kind of something personally like I kind of feel like I'm kind of going through in a sense too, like kind of having to make my brand more, you know, like it's not all a joke anymore, you know, like I also do run this company and I want to be taken very seriously for the company I run, but I also still want to, you know, have fun and be, you know, be myself still, you know. So I was kind of wondering like how did you like kind of like balance that and like handle like going through like that transition? I would say.
So I'm still very much like going through it, really, to be honest. Like we're still actively working on, even doing content stuff like this is like very much trying to make sure that we're on brand with like the new type of content that I want to be putting out. It probably started with my podcast, Short Story Long, which was like, I started about 2 years ago. That was the first time I really started like aggressively putting out content that was more in the vein of like who I was and what I wanted to grow, you know what I mean? But it's still very much a work in progress. I would say a couple things to look out for is, it is really tough because like the good thing, obviously I had a lot of followers and a lot of recognition from being on MTV for years, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that's not the same me or the same message as everything that I'm doing now. And at a certain point, it kind of sucks, but you have to just do it and commit to like the new you. Make sure you don't take yourself too serious and try to go from like fun YouTube guy to like super corporate dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But find that happy medium and just commit to it 100%. It was really hard for me in the beginning, I'll be honest, for like years, because you start putting out all this new content that you worked really hard on, and you're like losing followers, and you're like getting less engagement than you used to in like a photo of you and Dom, or a photo of you and the YouTube guys or whatever.
Yeah.
You're getting less engagement like dramatically. And I think it's a bit of like, it's a little disheartening, because you're like, this is still me. I'm the same dude. How come people don't like, you know, and it's just, they're not going to. It's not going, you're not going to retain 100% of your followers. But the worst thing that you can possibly do is spend a majority of your time trying to cater to your followers and what you think they might want, because that's not scalable. Like, you're going to spend your whole life trying to be a mind reader and trying to do what people like, and you're essentially just going to be this like content servant, as opposed to just saying, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, I know how to make content, I know how to entertain people, I'm going to start that now. You're going to retain, let's say, 20% of your current followers. The rest are going to slowly fall off, and you're going to gain all new ones. And everyone I've talked to that's made any sort of like brand transition with like content has that problem. And parts of it suck, but like, you got to just go for it and super ignore all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard, but there's nothing you can do. I just realized after a certain point, like, well, man, I can't scale this like character that I am on Fantasy Factory. Like, there's nothing I can do, right? What am I going to do? Go try to find like other people to do TV shows with and try to replicate that like magic? Exactly. You just can't do that. So all I could do was be in charge of what I'm in control of and not listen to the negative, you know?
Yeah, I guess kind of piggybacking on like a similar topic to the question we're talking about. Like, kind of also like taking away from like social media, just like almost like socially, like how do you get like even like your friends and like the people around you to like kind of like, you know, because like you can't really, I know what I noticed is like you can't really have like the same conversations with like your friends, because it's like, oh, well, this is like my business now, so I can't, you know, or you can't be at this because I have to, you know, it's like I got my people here that are helping me with this. So, you know, so kind of, I don't know, put you in a spot, I feel like, or at least with me, like starting it off, it kind of just put me in a spot where it's kind of like blurring the lines of where like, it's like, okay, am I protecting my business, or am I just like kind of taking this too seriously and just not really being a good friend, or like, so that's kind of been something too that's been like kind of, I wouldn't like to say like difficult, because everything kind of just is what it is, you know, but it just kind of, that's just what like my experience kind of has been.
Here's what I'd say is like, that's always a tricky one. That's super tricky, because you want to build relationships with people that you're going to work with. That's how you get more work, right? But at the same time, like you're saying, like you don't want to overdo that or whatever. I would say, like, in my mind, what I did was I painted like the perfect picture of who that person was. And what that person is I'm a real friend. We can have real conversations. We can joke with each other. We can literally everything, except when it's time to get work done, you know that I'm the friend to go to, and you know that I'm going to deliver every single time, no matter what. And if you can be that person, like if you can be the person that someone wants to go have drinks with and watch a game or whatever, and they know that they can come to you to represent them or to do some project or whatever, and that you're going to do it flawlessly, you're going to hit a home run every single time. The place where people lose is they're so talented but have no time to build any relationships, and they think that's the answer. You lose there. And also the people that just are professional friends and are really unreliable and don't do good work. You're going to lose there too. But both of those people are going to get some work, just enough to make you think you're on the right path, right? And I've seen that happen time and time again. What you really want to do is you want to be that guy that that you don't ever take yourself too serious. You don't ever say, well, wait a minute, this is business. You know, you're their coolest homie. You're around. You can joke. You can whatever. But when it is time to get work done, they know that they can count on you. They know that the quality is going to be there. They never are given any reason to believe that you're lacking in skills in business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's hard. It's always going to be a battle. And there's going to be a night when you go out and hang out and stay out too late and you feel like maybe you lost a little bit of your reputation or you whatever. And there's going to be times when you stay in and work too long and you feel like maybe people are forgetting about you. Like, that's going to happen, but you got to just try to balance that. The most successful, happy people that I've seen are the ones that truly love everyone that they work with and feel like they're working with their friends at all times. Mm-hmm. You know, that's like the dream life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of stuff you're saying, first off, is very, it's resonating with me for sure.
Good, so, good. Yeah. I think, and you feel it as you go. And trust me, man, like, how old are you?
I'm 24.
So trust me when I say, like, when I was 24, I thought that there was no excuse. Like, I hated the answer of like, oh, you're really young, like you'll figure it out. Like, I hated that because I was like, no, I know it now. Like, I want to know it now. Why can't I, right? Why can't I have everything figured out now? And I'm just telling you that there's a certain element of this thing that comes with time and that comes with just following what you know is the right thing to do and letting kind of the universe sort itself out a little bit. And it just happens. And before you know it, one day you're going to be 30. And if you do all the right things or what you think is best up until then, you're going to have a really great life at 30. If you keep cutting corners and you keep knowing what you know is a little wrong and a little wrong here and blah, 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 before you know it, you're going to be 30 and you're going to be like, oh, shit, maybe I should start now. And you're just never going to start and you're going to be one of those people, right? But you're new to this. Like, you went from coming up in like that YouTube group and having success and the people around you had success, and that's great and that's really good, but when it comes time to move over to wanting to do business and build a legit company, naturally you're gonna feel super unsure. Like, you're just going to, and there's no book you can read, there's no like cheat code, you know what I mean, to be like, okay, start a business today and here's how to not feel awkward about it tomorrow. Like, there's no way. It's only gonna come through doing it, through building a reputation, you know what I mean, building a resume. But if you stay focused on that, I'm telling you, man, before you know it, you'll be 30 and you'll be like, this is sick. Like, look what I created. You know what I mean? Nice. While everyone else is like, hey, man, can you put me on? Remember the guy from the YouTube thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, back in high school.
That's a great feeling, you know? So just work for that feeling because it's coming if you stay focused.
Yeah, so like, one thing like I noticed like with just doing things like independently, it's like, you know, like we're like kind of entrepreneurs, like you're not really offered like kind of like some sort of like basically set like reward system. You know, it's like you kind of just work and then like sometimes your work gets you a reward and then sometimes it just doesn't get you anything. You know? Then you're just like,
that's a part not a lot of people talk about.
You know, so like how like I don't know like if you have or not, but if you have, like, is there a way like you've kind of trained your mind to think where it's like, okay, like once I do this, then like I can like kind of like feel this way about the progress, you know, like creating like those like milestones, like obviously like setting goals and stuff in mind is important, but you know, is there anything else like that you would say like you need to kind of. So
here's the tricky part, like there's a lot of upside to being an entrepreneur and being your own boss and doing all that stuff that everyone wants to do. But one of the downsides is exactly that. Like, there isn't necessarily these built-in guaranteed rewards. A lot of people don't like congratulate you or say good job. You know, like if I work with one of my staff members on a project and they crush it, afterwards I'm going to tell them, good job, you killed it, that was amazing, blah, blah, blah. Nobody says that to me, right? And not to sound like boo-hoo, but there's no built-in person to come say that to me. And I think at first I had like a little bit, when I was young, I had a little bit of like bitterness, right? Of like, nobody appreciates what I do and nobody blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's one of the few prices that you pay to have this type of life that everyone wants. The trick to that is you have to act as your own boss. Like, people say, I want to be my own boss, then be your own boss, meaning set tasks for yourself, manage yourself, and reward yourself. And it's just not going to be as exact as like, go do a photo shoot today, and if it's a good photo shoot, take yourself out for drinks afterwards. It's not quite that easy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, build the things much more around your personal growth. Like, can I do this season? And it's, to me, it's things like, can I, like I wrote a note in my calendar every Friday at 6 p.m. to give one of my employees a compliment. That's just text them, email them, call them, and say, hey man, you just did a really great job on this specific thing, and I'm really proud of you for that. And if I do that for 2 months straight, I get X reward, right? You set it up like that in your head.
For yourself.
Because you're gonna reap the benefits of doing that, but down the road, it's gonna be kind of intangible and not really make sense at the time.
Yeah.
But it's through doing those things. It's working out 3 days a week for 3 months. If you do that, you reward yourself with this. And it's creating that discipline is so incredibly important. So because if I give an employee a compliment every week for 2 months, no one's going to come hand me a paycheck or a cake or anything. I have to then reward myself. You remind yourself why you did it. You know, you go out and celebrate. You have a big night out, or you go, you know, on a trip to Vegas or something that you really wanted to do. You just allow yourself to be rewarded for that. And man, that really works. Like, it's hard to do at first, and at first it feels really weird and almost like schizophrenic, and like you have multiple personality disorder, you know?
But, you did a good job, sir.
Yeah, like, good job, thank you, you're welcome. You know, like, it's a little weird, but it really does work. It's just a different way of thinking, and you just got to set up those goals. And I'll tell you this too, like, I have that thing in my calendar. I don't do it. I do it 50% of the time. I'm not like my own best employee. You know what I mean? Like, I fail a lot at goals that I set for myself. But the point is, that's why you make them a little difficult. You set them, and then when you do them, you make sure that you reward yourself. And I mean, I do it every morning with I have Instagram on a separate phone. Instagram is probably the app that I check the most. That's like, you know, for playing. And every morning, if I get up, do my first couple things, text my mom, read a little bit out of a book, blah, 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 then I allow myself to check Instagram. I never wake up and check Instagram first. So it's just little things. You can literally train yourself to like reward yourself, and you enjoy it so much more, but it's much more of a long game and built around real personal growth, not like a case-by-case basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I noticed, like, I know it almost puts you in like a state of confusion, you know, when you're like just doing all this stuff, and then there's no like, okay, like I just did all this and then I don't get anything, and then you see other people with stuff from the product of what you did, and then it puts you in a place that's like, wait, so should I like not be doing this? Am I doing the wrong thing? Or, you know, and then you kind of figure out over time, I guess, like, you know, it does all pay off, but like you said, it's hard to keep track of, like, you know, like if you're not actually rewarding yourself, it's hard to actually keep track of like where you're actually going, and like.
And it just feels like you're working nonstop for no real reason. And that's like why this whole, I've said it now in the last like 3 of these videos, but the whole like work, no play thing is just stupid. And it just doesn't work. And the most successful people I know don't live by that sort of rule. And that's exactly why, because you can really easily, as a leader or an entrepreneur or a CEO or any of those things, get sort of lost in just constantly working, no real hard rewards. And you just kind of forget why you're doing it, and life just starts to feel a little draining and miserable. You know what I mean? But I mean, I have friends on all different levels. I have a friend who really wants a new Ferrari and can afford it, but is waiting till he hits a certain number in sales in real estate, and then he's going to reward himself with that Ferrari. And like, that's great, and that's really cool, and the discipline that it takes to do that, and willpower and all that stuff is great. But when he actually goes and hits that goal and gets that Ferrari, it's going to feel so good. He's going to be reminded why he works so hard, and it's going to feel a lot better than just buying it because you can. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just, you got to start by setting it up. Do it small first and say, hey, this is my goal. It can be personal, it can be workout, it can be eating, it can be the way you deal with your employees, it can be how many emails you respond to every day, it can be how many emails you write every day, how many strangers you reach out to see if they are willing to do business with you. It can be literally anything, but set those goals and then set up a reward and just do it once and see how it feels. I think you'll feel a lot better about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so another big thing, like, that I've been dealing with too is it's just like how to really like I know, because I'm already into the mix of like my business is my personal life. Like, how do you like pull yourself like from that?
So same here, like 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of jobs, probably both of ours included, there won't ever be like a hard line, right? Except for maybe like in a relationship or something super personal like that, right? Where you're never going to be doing business. But I think that like the real best advice that I have is to be clear on what your intentions are at almost every moment, as much as you can exercise it, right? So like, for instance, like when I go to the office today, my intention is to do this, and this is what I'm gonna do today, right? If you're going to a friend's birthday party, your intention is what? If your intention is to have fun with your friends and be around people that you care about and that you enjoy being around, you have to allow yourself to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if your intention is to sign 5 new clients or do some project that might include some of your friends, carve out a time when it's time to go do that. Say, hey man, I'd love to, great birthday, this is so awesome, let's get lunch this week. Okay, great, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Like, let's not worry about it right now. I'll text you tomorrow, we'll figure it out. Hit them up tomorrow and say, yo, let's go Wednesday at noon, can you go here? Your intention in that moment is work, right?
Yeah.
And so you go to that lunch with the goal of creating this content or doing this thing, and hopefully, and now you don't cloud, so now you're not at a birthday trying to pitch a concept, and you're not at a dinner meeting at lunch trying to see how the party was. You're very clear, and the problem is, there's a million different ways to kind of deal with this problem, but in this world that we live in, being like content, the YouTube space, living in LA, naturally those two worlds are going to be so closely combined. And that's how it is for me. I mean, I literally, my best friend is my business partner. So it's like when I go over to his house to watch Power on Sunday night, how do we not talk about business? Well, I know walking in there that is my intention, is to just have fun with my friend, not work right now. And anything that comes up, we can deal with it. I'm going to see you in the morning. You know what I mean? And then when we're in here, we're not running around shooting the shit, partying, talking. You know what I mean? We're here working. So it's getting really clear in any moment what your intentions are in a given situation. And once again, disciplining yourself to stick to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard. But a lot of this is about clarity on yourself and your own goals and what you want out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think as you grow and as you try to make this transition, you're going to get more and more clear on that. And then you'll be able to just execute it easily.
It's like different, like starting a company and then kind of having like kind of like a social sort of influence, like backing that. And so like it makes it a little bit like, I feel like even more difficult sometimes to kind of like strike the right deals or to find like, oh, this is like a good person to work with, or this is like, like knowing like the exact thing that's like genuine, because it's like you already have something that other people may be like watching or seeing, so they have like a perception of like who you are, like what they would want from you if they like met you or whatever. So like kind of how do you like handle like just setting things like kind of just like filtering like through that, like how do you like kind of like I know there's not like a way to like look at someone and just tell like off the bat if that person's like genuine or not, but like how do you like keeping yourself like like basically like this is what I'm like looking for.
Yeah, I get that. So obviously I dealt with that like massively, right? Because I was on a hit television show before I started a business. And so literally everyone from anywhere, it felt like, was hitting me up to try to work or do business or this or that, especially when I started a company. And I didn't know it all. I mean, I was 21, 22 when I started Young and Reckless, and so I had no idea like which way was up or who had a good opportunity or who didn't. The thing that I noticed more than anything that really helped me is, once again, the more clear I got on exactly what I wanted, right? Like, this is what my business is. These are the types of people I am looking for. Then you use your following and all this opportunity as leverage, because you can also meet with some great people. And what you don't ever want to do is start to get the mindset of like, this is all bullshit. Like anyone who's coming to me because of my following is bullshit. Because I've met a lot of really talented, really people that I ended up working with and doing great work with only because they wanted to work with me because I was on TV. And then you spin it into a real thing and it becomes real. But it only became real because I knew what I wanted out of it. A lot of the greatest opportunities and things that have came to me are from when I thought I was wasting time, you know? And like, you'll be surprised by just meeting with people and hearing what people are working on and taking some time every week to like really just see what's going on in the world, how much you'll actually gain, you know? And so don't discount that. But at the same time, you know, don't hesitate. If someone just doesn't look like it's right for you or whatever, then you know, there'll be people that hit me up that have millions of followers and all this stuff. But if I know what I'm trying to do, and not that I'm trying to be rude or anything, but if that doesn't fit into the clothing stuff, the podcast, the this, the that, I just can't, you know, it just doesn't, it's not worth it at this point. But that's only from years and years of taking a lot of really weird meetings and wasting a lot of time in weird conversations. You know what I mean? It's inevitable.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Some weird meetings before.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I think is like, you know, especially, I think this applies to everyone, is like, it's almost like everyone just needs to hear and truly know and accept that there is no answer.
Yeah.
Like there is no book, there is no Gary Vee podcast, there is no Tony Robbins, there is no one thing that's going to stop you from having to go through
everything.
Everything. Yeah. You just do. And you can use those things as guidance, and you can use those things as steering here and there, and they do help. And hopefully this stuff helps, and hopefully every little thing helps. But man, the real knowledge comes from like going out there and having the stupid meeting and wasting your time. And you know, you only know it's a waste of your time because your time has been wasted so many times. That's how you know. If not, you might confuse a waste of time for a life-changing opportunity. So it's okay to not know what the hell you're doing. It's okay to have like a bit of an idea, but some issues with it. It's okay. All that stuff is perfectly normal, but the worst thing you can do is try to run from it.
Yeah.
Because the lesson is on the other side of it. So just jump right into it and get it over with. It's like jumping into cold water, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're unsure, do it and then learn afterwards.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, most importantly from talking to you and from seeing your work for a while, just start doing whatever feels like. If you get an instinct that you want to represent influencers, start doing it. If you get a feeling that you want to start creating content for people, start doing it. Like, you are in a really cool situation because you have a following, you have a skill set, and you have relationships. In 2018, that's the hard part. You have that covered. So now, and you're young, bonus. So now you can literally, you have all the time in the world to just experiment and see what you even really like. But just experiment with a purpose. Experiment knowing that you're not just messing around with your friends, you're trying to figure out what the hell your life is going to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years, right? Like you are experimenting for a reason. So you have a lot of great ideas. I know how talented you are. I know you have a following. I know you have all that stuff. Just please don't let that go to waste by second guessing yourself too much. Like get out there, try everything, see what works, react to what's working. You might sign some YouTube kid that's the next Logan Paul, and you weren't even really that interested in it, but now you are because it's blowing up and you're having a lot of fun, you're making a lot of money, you're creating content, and now all of a sudden this is the life you want. So just that would be my only thing for you, is like just aggressively be trying everything every day and pay very close attention to what works. You can feel what's working and what isn't. And don't be afraid to ditch on what isn't or what you're not enjoying, and follow what's working well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
There it is, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no.
This was great.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good
to
see you, man.
I genuinely wanted to ask you those questions.
Well, there you go.